Hello, Patriots, and a Merry Christmas to you. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, it's been said before that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, so we need to be paying attention to what our representatives up there in Congress are doing. So this week, we're going to be doing an end-of-the-year report card and look at the voting records of Kentucky's congressmen in the House of Representatives. Kentucky has 6 members in the House of Representatives. 5 of them are Republicans. I'm not counting on the Democrat to do anything. So let's examine the 5 Republicans and see if they are naughty or nice. First of all, there was the fiscal year 2024. It was a 6-bill minibus. They put all of these different things together and wanted you to approve all of it or none of it. I really like the idea of single issue bills, and this was a massive bill that had all kinds of things in it. I don't believe a conservative should be voting for one of these multi-issue omnibus type bills. Let's see how Kentucky's congressmen voted. We have Representative James Comer. He was very nice on this. He didn't like the idea of voting on massive amounts of things. Brett Guthrie, he voted yes on this. Why? He's never met a spending bill that he didn't like. Congressman Thomas Massie, he was nice. He didn't like the idea of voting on all this omnibus stuff. But Hal Rogers and Andy Barr both were naughty voting for this omnibus type bill. Then there's the second part of this minibus act coming, and again, all kinds of different things being put together in part 2 of this. And the votes went down the same way. Congressman James Comer and Thomas Massie were nice because they voted no on this. And the other ones, Brett Guthrie, Hal Rogers, and Andy Barr, they were naughty, all voting yes for all of this spending together. Let's look at a bill that came up in April. This would require warrants to be used. This is just renewing what it says in the Fourth Amendment, requiring the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to get a warrant before they enter somebody's home, because the FBI and other law enforcement agencies are being used as political weapons. We've seen them used against President Trump and others during the last 4 years. Amazingly enough, the congressmen in Kentucky voted opposite on this. James Comer and Thomas Massie voted to uphold the Fourth Amendment, were good, but we see Brett Guthrie, Hal Rogers, and Andy Barr voted against this, really voting against the Fourth Amendment, and were therefore naughty. Look at our next bill that came up in April of this year. It was to combine all of these foreign aid bills into one big bill. And they had to pass a rule saying, well, yeah, we're not going to vote on this individually. We're just going to vote on it all collectively, like with the spending. So a conservative would be voting no, but we see that James Comer, Brett Guthrie, Hal Rogers, and Andy Barr all voted to be naughty and said, yeah, let's just put all this foreign aid together at one time. Only Congressman Thomas Massie stood up and said, no, I don't want to put all this together. Let's do it individually. So he gets the nice rating on this bill. The next day, they had the Ukraine Security Supplemental Appropriations Act. Again, we're just paying them billions and billions of dollars. So they said, we're going to put all these things together. Now, are you actually going to approve it or not? And we see that James Comer and Thomas Massie said, we are not going to send this money to all these different people. However, Brett Guthrie, Hal Rogers, and Andy Barr, again, all naughty, voting to send billions of your tax dollars overseas. Then in May, there was the Equal Representation Act, and this requires the Census Bureau to include a citizenship question on all future census that they conduct when it comes to appropriating how many votes each state gets in the Electoral College system. And we'll see on this particular issue, every single representative from Kentucky voted yes and gets a nice rating on this bill. Good for them. Then we have the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act. This prohibits a central bank digital currency from being issued by the government or through any other means. Again, if the government has control of all your money digitally, they can turn off your access to all of it. And I would not put it past the government to do that. You see that every single member of Kentucky's congressional delegation up there in the House voted yes, let's keep this from ever happening, all getting a nice rating on that bill. Well, here's one conservatives wouldn't like. It is the debt ceiling suspension agreement, where they're going to again increase the debt and add about another $4 trillion in federal deficit spending. Conservative would not be for that. Here's how Kentucky's congressmen voted. You'll see every single one of them voted to increase the debt limit by about $4 trillion on this bill, 3746, which they did on May the 31st. And it extends on through 2024 and into 2025. Let's look at the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. This amends the National Voter Registration Act and requires states to obtain proof of your U.S. citizenship before you're allowed to vote. So again, securing our elections. I'm happy to tell you that every single member of Kentucky's congressional delegation in the House voted yes to help secure our elections in this way, all getting a good rating, good for them. Of course, there's tons of votes in Congress. If you would like to see each one from Kentucky's congressional delegation, you can look at this website, which is heritageaction.com. And I'll have a link for this right in the description of this video. But if you go to this website, you will see that they keep scores for each session and for the lifetime career somebody has had in Congress. So let's do a final score here on the conservative old meter and see how each one of Kentucky's congressional delegations scores. For their lifetime ratings, James Comer gets a strong B, a B+, as a solid conservative. We see Representative Brett Guthrie. No, he gets a D. Again, he's never met a spending bill that he doesn't like. Gets a 67%. You realize there's some Democrats that actually get a higher conservative vote than he does? With Thomas Massie, again, he gets a solid B, one of Kentucky's strong conservatives. We see Hal Rogers gets an F, 57%. For his very long lifetime career in Congress. Again, votes incredibly liberally, several Democrats voting more conservative than he does. And finally, Andy Barr, you see he gets a C right in the middle of the road at a 74% as a lifetime conservative score. In case you're wondering what the lifetime scores are in Congress for Kentucky's two members in the Senate, Mitch McConnell gets a bombing 59%. Again, actually has a very liberal voting record. Despite the speeches he'll come and talk to you about, this is actually his voting record. And Rand Paul gets a lifetime 90% score and A, as far as being a true conservative according to his voting record. Thank you for playing Naughty or Nice. And again, you can go to this website, Heritage Action for America, to see all of the votes and how they score each session and as a lifetime. And while you're online, if you're looking for a last-minute Christmas present, here's some different books that I've written. They're all available on Amazon.com and at LeeWattsUSA.com. Well, that's the news for this week, Patriots. So until next week, Merry Christmas, and remember that liberty is not a spectator sport.